guys, I'm really excited to get started on this. I'm Caroline. I love to talk about money. It's this weird thing that a lot of people don't like to talk about, and I'm super excited to talk about it basically all the time. It's kind of problematic sometimes. People are like, I just bought this. I'm like, did you save money? Did you get a coupon? So that's one of my big things is I love to talk about it. I love to save money. I love to help other people to learn how to do all of those things too. We are going to get into some of the ways that you can cut your expenses and find new ways to save for whatever your goals are, whether they are saving money, investing, paying off debt, buying a lake house, going to travel once everything can open up, getting a new bag, whatever it is, whatever your goals are, we want to help you make those things into a reality. Okay, so now we're going to get into kind of the heavier thing. And that's why I wanted to start with the goals, because if I jumped right into, let's look at your spending, everyone would be like, nope, peace out. We're going to take a look at where your money has been going. What I want you to do, maybe not right now, you need to print out your bank statements or your credit card statements so that you can see every place where you have been spending money in the past month. Now, ideally, like you'll hear people say, like you should print out your last 3 months of expenses. I think that that's a lot of work right out of the gate. So I want you to do last month's expenses from your spending. So your credit cards, your debit cards, wherever it is that you have been spending money, print them out and look at it. Highlight the places that you've been spending your money. Bonus points if you can highlight it with a different color. If you're really kind of type A, like me, I've got a bunch of different colors, just so that you can see where it's been coming from. Make sure that you're taking notes about what it is. So if you can't remember where you spent money, go back and look at your bank statement online instead of printing it out and seeing where it went. But we need to do this part so that we know where your money is going. This is going to be the baseline. I don't want you to quit yet, because I know when you're printing out your bank statement and you're looking at it, you're like, this is a lot. And you don't have any place to hide. There's no one who you can really blame. This is a tough part, but I want you to keep going. I want you to push through it. I want you to remember that goal. This is the worst part, is getting started. It will only get better from here. Like, I promise you, this right now, when you're printing out your bank statement and you're looking at your expenses, that is the worst part. But if you can keep going after that, then you can change, because those numbers on this piece of paper that you've printed out for your bank statements and where you've seen your money go, it's just numbers. These are just pieces of information. Let's try to pull away from some of the negative emotions of, I can't believe that I spent that much money at Target. I can't believe that I spent that much money on takeout or on Starbucks or on Home Goods or Amazon, whatever it is. It's not about beating yourself up. It's about looking for ways that you can cut back. And so here are some of the top places that you can cut back, like right off the bat from your bank statements, are any subscription services that you have. Who else is guilty of getting subscription services that they forget that they've bought, and then they show up at your door and you're like, oh, I should really cancel that. I really don't need this. And then you forget. And then they show up again the next month and you're like, I should really cancel this. And then you forget. This has happened to me many, many times. Like, it's a shameful amount of times. But those are little expenses that will slowly drain your money if you're not careful. And so we're talking about being mindful about where our money is going. We're being intentional. So all of these kinds of things, any kind of shopping that we do, because I'm guilty of it too, guys. I'm not throwing stones here. If you are like me and are a serial, I'll add it to my cart person for Amazon, or get stuck on, like, when you're on Facebook on your phone and you start swiping on the Amazon ads and you're like, ooh, that's cute. That's cute. Next thing you know, you've got a full cart. These are really important things to take note of. Now, we're not beating ourselves up. Remember, that's not what we're here to do. We're looking at it without emotion. And it is hard, and I know that. But try to separate the emotion from when you're looking at your spending, when you're looking at how much money you have spent or have saved, or it went to one thing or went to another, or that your husband spent. Try to separate the emotion from it so that you can look at it and say, what can I change? Subscription services, any kind of clothes shopping, especially not grocery shopping, any kind of online shopping. Groceries is one of the biggest variable expenses that we have every single month as people. A variable expense is something that's not a bill. So, you get your rent every month and it is the same amount. Your groceries are something that can fluctuate. So some months you might spend $500, some months you might spend $800. Some months you might spend $300. Those are the kinds of things that fluctuate. So if you can take your groceries and look at it and say, wow, I spent X. What if I can cut it back? How much food did I throw out that I meant to eat? That spinach that sat in the bag, wilting in the back of my fridge. Maybe I can start things like meal planning instead. Maybe instead of going and saying, I should get this spinach that's in a bag that I'm not going to eat because I know myself, but I'm going to get it because it's the right thing to do, right? Who else feels that? Like you get things because you feel like, oh, I should get a bag of salad. I should get something that's healthy. And then you put it into your grocery cart and then it dies a slow, painful death in the back of your refrigerator. We want to avoid things like that by cutting things back inside of our grocery budget incrementally, small little baby steps to cut things back. And that's a huge, huge difference that you can make. I am not a mathematician. I have my handy dandy little calculator right here because I can't do math on my own on the fly. I can, but not always perfectly. But if you spend $500 on your groceries in a month, because it's just a nice round number, bear with me. If you spend $500 on your groceries for your family each month, and you're like, we should probably cut that back a little bit, or I can cut that back a little bit. Start by cutting it back 10% each month. And so instead of spending $500 this month, you're going to spend $450. And once you're not feeling like you're going over budget constantly with your groceries, then you can cut it back another 10%. So it's going to be $405 now. Okay, so that's going to be something that you're going to stay at for a while until you can cut it back again, until you're not feeling like you're pinched and you're going over budget constantly. There's a lot of things that you can do to save money with groceries, but the reason that it's on here is because that's one of the things that we can control, like a lot. We can control what we spend on our food a lot. So the next thing is on your insurance, which I probably should have put insurance and recurring bills, because one of my favorite things in the world to do is every 6 months or so, I will call my insurance company, my home security system, my internet provider, my phone provider. But those are my big things. And I will call them and I will say, I've been a customer of yours for however many years, or I've been a loyal customer. I've never missed a payment. What can you do to help me lower this bill? Are there any discounts that are available? I have been shocked at how well that has worked. Just by calling and saying, I've been a loyal customer, what can I do to get this bill lowered? This is very expensive. Can you do anything to kind of give me a hand here? And I've just been shocked at how well that has worked for me. I have ADT Home Security, and I called to cancel because I found a better deal from another security company. And they countered my cancellation by saying, instead of $59 a month, we will give it to you for $19 a month. That is huge. That's an incredible amount that it saved me each month just by calling and saying, like, I was ready to cancel and go to this other company. And that wasn't like, a fake thing. It was genuinely, I was going to cancel with them. And they were like, nope, please stay. And that's what happens when you call. The worst thing that they can say is, no, we can't do anything. And then you have the option, you as a consumer have the option to go and find a better deal elsewhere. How cool is that? So there's a ton of different ways that you can find expenses to cut. There's a ton of them, but these are just some of the things that I have found. Anywhere where you find yourself spending on an impulse or out of habit. So for me, I know myself very well. I know that directly across the street from my grocery store, there's a Chipotle. And after I've spent an hour and a half wrangling kids in the grocery store, the last thing that I want to do is cook myself dinner. And I know that that is a trigger for me to go through and get Chipotle on my way home from the grocery store. So I'm aware of my desire to not cook. Anybody else love to eat but hate to cook? Or is it just me? I know myself. I know that that's one of the things that triggers me. And I know that there's a lot of things that trigger a lot of us that we don't even realize. We shop on our phones out of boredom. We are hungry. And so next thing you know, Grubhub starts popping up on your phone. We're depressed and we decide that it's time to treat ourselves to some retail therapy. There's a lot of things that we do out of habit, out of boredom, out of depression, out of impulse. And it's important to look at those things. That's what this whole thing is about. It's not about saying that you're, a bad person for ever going to Chipotle after going grocery shopping, for crying out loud. I've done that so many times. You need to figure out what it is that is making you want to spend.